Welcome to a slow, beginner-friendly lesson on the idea of a for loop in Python, made for absolute beginners. Repetition begins here. Today we open one of the most important ideas in all of programming, the loop. Until now, you wrote each line by hand, one statement, then the next, then the next. But real programs repeat work constantly. Print every name in a list. Check every item in a cart. Send a message to every user. You cannot write 1,000 lines for 1,000 items. Python gives you a way to write the work once, and let the language run it many times. That tool is the for loop. The most important idea: what is a loop? A loop is a way to repeat a block of code. Python has two main kinds, and today we focus on the for loop. The for loop works hand in hand with collections, the lists, strings, and ranges you already met. For each item in the collection, Python runs your block of code once. You write the body one time. Python takes care of moving to the next item, deciding when to stop, and keeping count. The loop does the repetition for you, automatically. Repeat without copy and paste. Repetition is everywhere in real life. You wash every plate. You sign every page. You greet every guest. Programming is the same. Repetition is everywhere. Think about dealing cards at a table. You do not deal all cards at once. You take one card, give it to a player. Take the next card, give it to the next player. Same action, repeated for each card. Or think of a checklist before a flight. You read one item, confirm it, move to the next. Same step, repeated for each line. A for loop is exactly this pattern. You define the action once. Python applies it to each item, one at a time, until the collection is done. Same action, once per item. Here is the shape of every for loop. The word for, then a name, then the word in, then a collection, then a colon. Underneath, indented, the body, the code that runs for each item. The colon at the end of the header line is mandatory, exactly like in a function definition. The body must be indented, exactly like in a function. If you remember def from earlier, you already know the shape. The only new parts are the words for and in, and the loop variable in between. Same shape as def. There is a calm rhythm to writing a loop. Header on top, body indented below. Once you know the shape, you recognize it everywhere. A calm, steady rhythm. Here is what happens when a for loop runs. Python starts at the first item. It hands you that item through the loop variable. Your body runs once, using that value. Then Python asks, are there more items left in the collection? If yes, it moves to the next item, and the body runs again with the new value. If no, the loop ends, and Python continues with the code after the loop. The collection itself decides when the loop stops, not you, not a counter, not a condition. When the items run out, the loop is done. The collection decides when to stop. Two small rules cause most beginner errors with loops. First, the header line must end with a colon. Forget the colon and Python raises a syntax error before your code even runs. Second, the body must be indented. Forget the indent and Python raises an indentation error. These are the exact same rules you learned for functions. Def meant colon plus indented body. For is the same. If you can write a function, you can write a for loop. The shape is identical, only the first word changes. Colon, then indent. The loop variable, the name between for and in, is your handle on the current item. On the first pass, the variable holds the first value. On the second pass, it holds the second value. On the third pass, the third. You do not assign it yourself. Python assigns it for you, automatically, before each run of the body. You just use the name inside the body, and it always refers to whichever item the loop is currently on. After the loop ends, the name still exists, holding the last value. You do not assign it. Each pass through a loop, the variable becomes someone new. First it is apple. Then banana. Then cherry. The body stays the same. Someone new each pass. Programmers have a word for one pass through a loop body. They call it an iteration. One iteration means the body ran one time, on one item. If a list has 3 fruits, the loop runs 3 iterations, one per fruit. The first iteration uses the first fruit. The second iteration uses the second. The third uses the third. Then the collection is empty, the loop ends. So when you hear someone say this loop runs 10 iterations, they mean the body executes 10 times, once for each item. One pass equals one iteration. Here is the simplest possible for loop. Fruits is a list of 3 strings. The header says, for fruit and fruits, colon. The body is one line, print the variable fruit. That is it. Python takes apple first, runs print, and you see apple in the output. Then Python takes banana, runs print, and you see banana. Then cherry. Then the list is done, and the loop ends. 3 items, 3 iterations, 3 lines of output. The body was written once and ran 3 times. 3 items, 3 passes, same shape, slightly richer body. Names is a list of 3 people. The header is for name and names : the body prints hello, name, and name is whatever the loop is on right now. First pass, name is Ada, so you see hello, Ada. Second pass, name is Grace, hello, Grace. Third pass, name is Linus, hello, Linus. Notice that the body uses the loop variable as if it were a normal variable. It is a normal variable. Python just keeps changing what it points to. A normal variable, anything Python can walk through item by item, you can loop over. Lists, strings, ranges. They are all collections to A for loop. Walk any collection. Here is something beginners often miss. You can loop over a string directly. The header says for letter in cat : Python treats the string as a collection of characters. First pass, letter is C. Second pass, letter is A. Third pass, letter is T. 3 characters, 3 passes. A string is just a row of 1-character strings lined up, and the for loop walks through it the same way it walks through a list. This is a small but powerful idea. Strings are collections too. Sometimes you do not have a collection ready, you just want to repeat something a fixed number of times. That is what range is for. For I in range 5 : range 5 produces the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers total, starting at 0. The loop variable I takes each value in turn. The body prints I. You see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that range 5 gives you 5 numbers but stops before 5 itself. Counting starts at 0. Range stops before n. Hold on to this idea, because it is the whole point of loops. You write the body once. You never copy and paste it. Python runs that same body once per item in the collection. If the collection has 10 items, the body runs 10 times. If it has 1,000 items, the body runs 1,000 times. The body never changes. Only the value of the loop variable changes, pass by pass. This is why loops are one of the most powerful tools in programming. They let one piece of code do a lot of work. The whole point, Python has 2 loop keywords. For, which you are learning today, walks through a collection you already have, a list, a string, a range. While, which we cover later, repeats as long as a condition stays true. For is the default choice in Python, because most of the time you are working with a collection that already exists. You will meet while in its own lesson. For now, focus on for. It covers the vast majority of real looping you will do. For is the default. A few lines of code can do the work of thousands. That is the quiet power of a loop. One small body, repeated for every item. One body, much work. Why do loops matter so much? Because almost every program repeats work. Process every row in a spreadsheet. Send a message to every user. Check every file in a folder. Score every student in a class. Without loops, you would write each step by hand. With loops, you write the step once, and Python applies it to every item in a collection. This is also why collections and loops are taught together. A collection on its own just sits there. Loops are how you actually do something with it. Loops unlock collections. A few mistakes catch every beginner. First, forgetting the colon at the end of the header line. Python will refuse to run until you add it. Second, forgetting to indent the body. Python will raise an indentation error. Third, assuming range 5 gives you 1 through 5. It actually gives you 0 through 4. And fourth, a typo in the loop variable, writing fruit in the header but fruit in the body. Python will complain that fruit is not defined. Slow down on these 4, and loops become smooth. Slow down on these 4. Once you start seeing the loop pattern, you see it everywhere. A checklist, read one item, do what it says, move to the next. A checkout at a store, scan one item, add its price, move to the next. A music playlist, play one song, when it ends, play the next. Each is a collection. Each is walked through one item at a time. Each does the same action per item. When you can map a real task onto for item in collection, you have understood loops at a deep level. You will see it everywhere. Quick self-check. Can you say in one sentence what A for loop does? Can you write the header, for, name, in, collection, colon? Can you explain what the loop variable holds on the first pass and on the last pass? Can you say what range 5 produces, including where it starts and where it stops? If any of these feels shaky, rewatch the matching part. You do not need to use loops fluently yet, just hold the shape and the idea. Say each out loud. Here is the lesson in one breath. A for loop repeats a block of code, once for each item in a collection. The shape is always the same, the word for, a loop variable, the word in, a collection, a colon, and an indented body. The loop variable takes each value in turn, first the first item, then the second, then the third. You write the body once. Python runs it many times. That is the whole idea. The next lesson slows down and shows you how to use loops in practice. 4. Item, in, collection, colon, body. Next lesson moves from idea to practice. You will loop over lists and dictionaries. You will accumulate values, adding numbers as you go, building new lists as you loop. You will see how the body can be more than one line, a print, a calculation, a conditional check. You will write many small loops yourself. The idea you learned today is the foundation. Everything that follows builds on this shape. 4. Item, in, collection, colon, indented body. Practice is next. If you want a tiny practice right now, type these 2 loops into IPython. The first one loops over a list written directly inside the loop, apple and banana, and prints I like plus the fruit. The second uses range 3 and prints the word pass plus the current number. Notice the output, 2 lines from the first loop, 3 lines from the second. 2 items, 2 passes. 3 numbers, 3 passes. When that feels natural, you are ready for the next lesson. 2 tiny loops. Thanks for learning the idea behind the for loop. Next we put it into practice. The idea is yours.